Hi, welcome to the Crates Motel. My name's Conan. In today's video, I'm going to show you an old school technique which will help you tighten up your beats and get cleaner chops. The basic concept is you run your drum break through a compressor and a gate. And with these two tools, you can shape your kicks, your hats, your snares, etc. into more easily choppable parts, and you have more control over the transients and sustain of your drums. So it gives you a ton of control over your sounds, and it does actually help a little with any copyright issues that you may be worrying about. Let's jump in. Okay, so I've got a beat loaded up into my MPC. So you can hear that I've chosen on purpose a beat that's got a lot of room noise, a lot of ambience. It's just pretty much constantly noise going on all the time. I mean, there's even like a little bit of a hum from an amp by the sounds of it. So on the sample, if you go into your effects, the first thing you want to do is apply compression. Now I'm using the vintage because what I want to do is I want to keep the vibe. I want to add a bit of smack, and I want to adjust the attack and the release and stuff as well. So just really my aim really, because if you listen to the original beat without the compressor on, you'll hear that the hi-hat is a little bit lower in level. And for this technique to really work and to really shine, you want the drums to be pretty much the same level. You don't want to compress it to death and it sounds too compressed, unless you want to add that character and vibe, which I have done a little bit actually here. Excuse me. But what you want to do is you want to get all the drums the same kind of level, because that's going to help you in the next stage. So if you listen to after compression, so you can hear there what I've done there is I've taken the ratio up a little bit. I've left the attack quite slow because I want the drums to cut through and get that smack. The release being really, really quick is getting that smack to happen. And then obviously dialing the threshold in as you need it. But you can hear now with that compression applied, the hi-hat has been brought up in the mix, but it has also brought up loads of noise floor as well, because what I've done with the compression there is I've reduced the dynamic range, but I'm bringing up the low end, the lower parts of the room, the level, etc., and I'm crushing the top to make a smaller dynamic range. Basically, that's the whole point. But it is leveling out the drum sounds. So if you listen again with, but that's really brought out the sound of the hi-hat, which is nice. So on the next effect in the chain, we have the noise gate. So what you need to do with the threshold is, the point is, with the threshold is basically bringing the gate in. So if I take the threshold down, for instance, you'll see that the gate's not cutting in. So if I bring the threshold gradually up, now you can see from the reduction meter that the gate is starting to kick in. So you want to dial it in so that you're just getting through the sounds of the drums that you actually want. Okay, so now I'm getting through the sounds that I want, but now using these controls, I can actually shape the way that the sounds are. So with the attack, what I'm doing is I'm affecting the transient. So if I have a quick attack, I'm letting the start of the initial percussive sound of the drum come through. If I take the attack right up, it's going to start rounding off the edge and not sound so good. With the hold, it's how long the gate is staying open, basically. So be careful with the hold, because if you have it really, really short, it just introduces horrible distortion. So you have to get that just right. But again, it's how long you're letting the gate stay open for. The release is affecting the sustain of the drum beat, so how the drum beat kind of ends, how it finishes. So it's handy that you've got the reduction meter there as well, because you can see what work the gate's doing. So once you've got that all set up, your compressor and your gate, what you want to do is take your pad and you basically want to bounce to sample. So I've already done it, but you would hit bounce to sample. It would then be in your list here. You would then sign it to the pad, see bounce gate beat, and then you would have the drum beat, no effects on it now. It's been just made into a sample without any effects on it. So that basically frees up any processing as well. If you now wanted to get rid of that pad, get rid of those effects, you freed yourself up some processing as well. So now what I want to do is I want to go into sample edit. And if I go into chop, okay, so you know you've got manual threshold regions BPM. So here's my beat. Going into threshold, what that's going to do is so it is kind of the same thing that it would do if I hadn't put it through that process, but what I've done here is I've got control over shaping the sounds, and you can do that afterwards as well. But the thing about this technique was, back in the day when we kind of started using this technique, we didn't have, you know, for starters, this wouldn't have existed, you know, automatic threshold chopping, etc. But the reason why we did it is because it would give us the ability to shape the sounds of the drums in our chops without then having to do further processing by like trying to add fades, etc. I mean, believe it or not, you know, back in the day, we would sometimes record fades live with a mixing desk because we couldn't apply fades on samples and stuff. But with this technique, using the gate on our desks, our mixing desks back in the day, you would have the ability to, like I said, shape the attack of the sound and the sustain of the sound. So it just really kind of makes things easier. But what it also does is, if you have a drum beat, I mean, this drum beat, for instance, is quite a well-known drum beat. Chances are that YouTube's going to flag me for this anyway, for copyright reasons. So when you chop a beat up like this, you are also kind of changing the way that it sounds, and so therefore eliminating some problems that you might run into. Not that I'm endorsing sampling things without clearance, but, you know, we all do it. It happens. So the main aim of this really is to make your workflow easier and to give you more control over the sound. And, you know, I mean, you saw how quick that was. I literally threw the sample in, and then with the threshold, terrible, sorry. So, I mean, that sound, if you think of how the original beat was, sorry, this was the original. How much noise there was in that. Now I've got, you know, it's cleaned everything up as well. And, you know, and also now I have my own individual sounds. So there you have it. A pretty easy technique once you learn how to dial in the gate and the compressor. And it can really, really speed up your workflow, but it also gives you control over the sounds as well. So you're kind of sound designing as you're going along. You know, especially being able to take a really, really noisy break. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't actually like cutting the noise out of breaks most of the time because I love the vibe of it. But by cutting it up like that, you can get rid of the original noise and then add your own character and noise. And it's about being in control in the mixing process. You know, with that room ambience that was in the original break, there was no way I could control that. And if I added any more compression to it, it's going to really start messing things up. But using that gate technique, I can get rid of the original drum room sound, the original ambience, and then I can then add in my own sound, and I have a lot more control over it. I mean, you could actually even, you know, at an advanced stage, you could take the original break, and you could lay it underneath really, really lightly, just in the background. So you've still got that natural noise, and then lay the gated version over the top of it. So you've got more control over the individual kicks, snares and hats with EQ and compression, but then you can bring in the original break at the same time. So then you've got, I mean, that's the ultimate, isn't it, really? You've got the original drum break, you've got the original sound of the room, the original ambience, the original character, but then you've got ultimate control individually over those different frequency ranges that you have with kicks, snares and hats. So there you have it. So thanks so much for watching. This is the Crates Motel. My name's Conan. Till next time.